My name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the Executive Director for Veterans Memorial and Multicultural Histories Incorporated. Today is June the 10th. It is Friday afternoon. We are at the Marriott Hotel in downtown West Palm Beach, Florida. And sir, what is your name?
My name is Dr. Peter Tan, T-A-N.
Okay. And when is your birthday?
November 28, 1957.
Okay. And where were you born anyway?
I was born in New York City.
What about your parents?
My parents were both immigrants from the Philippines.
Okay. All right. And what city do you presently live in right now?
Hernando, Florida.
How long have you been living there?
Almost 3 years.
Okay. All right. No, it's perfect. Okay, and where were you living at the time you entered into the service?
I was commissioned out of ROTC, so I was at the University of Notre Dame in Notre Dame, Indiana.
What were you majoring in?
I was studying pre-professional studies.
What is that?
Pre-professional studies in the College of Science, pre-med.
Medical.
Your cord is in front of the lens. Your cord is
No, it's not showing.
Okay.
Okay, so why did you choose that branch of the service?
The Army?
Yeah.
Well, part of it's because of our long history in the Army with our family. I'm part of now 4 generations in the Army. I also, both my parents served in the United States Army in World War II, but I also attended St. John's College High School in Washington, D.C., where they had an Army Junior ROTC program with the Christian Brothers.
Okay, all right. So I guess what you told me is basically your family was Army?
Steeped in Army, and we did have Navy as well, Marine Corps as well, but most of the family was Army.
Okay. So that was an influencer. Okay. What rank were you when you separated?
I was colonel.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Where did you say you were? Where were you living when you decided to go into service?
I was at college. I was commissioned. I was an early commissioned ROTC cadet, which because I had junior ROTC under my belt, I was able to commission before my class at Notre Dame. So I was actually at Notre Dame, Indiana.
You were at Notre Dame?
Yes.
Okay. And you weren't, well, of course you weren't, what year did you go into service?
1978.
All right, you weren't under any, you weren't worried about being drafted?
I was post-Vietnam, and I was younger than my counterparts, so I didn't get a selective service number.
Got it. Were you the only son in your family?
I was.
Oh, okay. So that, okay. Okay, so, all right. Where did you do basic training?
So, ROTC, I went to advanced camp at Fort Riley, Kansas.
Okay. And how long did that last?
About 6.5 weeks.
Okay. And what came next? Some technical school?
So, going into the dental corps was straightforward. I got accepted into dental school, and then I went into the dental corps officer basic at that time at Fort Sam Houston in Texas, San Antonio.
And how long was that school?
That was about almost a month.
while you were in basic or in your, AIT,
The
what they call it?
officer's basic.
Okay, officers basic, or your the dental school, in all three. At any juncture, did you go on leave at any time while you were in basic and while you were in any of those trainings? Did you take leave and go home for any reason?
No.
Okay, all right. So when those three trainings were over, did you go home before you went to your first duty station?
Actually, I did. I ended up going home and moving my wife to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
Oh, all right. Okay, all right. So you were married when you went into service?
Not when I was in college.
Huh.
I went into dental school, and I still wasn't married. And I married after.
Okay, nice. Okay, so your first duty station was in Leavenworth?
Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
And how long was that tour?
I was there for about 3 years.
And how was the tour? What was it like?
Well, I think that the biggest thing was that I learned how to become more proficient as a general dentist, since I was postgraduate, and I also learned a lot about myself as a leader.
Okay.
And I became eventually positioned as the chief of operative hygiene in that department of the clinic, and was given a lot of duties as well.
Right. And you say you were there for a year?
3 years.
3 years. Sorry about that. So tell me about that tour. Tell me two of the most memorable experiences you had over that 3-year period.
First is becoming a provider, because I had never really treated patients outside of dental school. The second, I suppose, was given the opportunity to be a department chief. And the third, well, and that would include also being the head of the Red Cross training program that I was in charge of.
Right.
And the third is actually getting selected for surgical residency at my last year of my tour.
Okay. All right. Okay. So up to this point, were there any casualties in any of the units that you were in? Anybody get hurt?
No.
Any fatalities?
No. So that was all Fort Leavenworth at the Command and General Staff College. So I was in an environment where I was being a provider for the students at the Command and General Staff School, and also the residents of Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, the permanent party of Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, as well.
The primitive party?
Permanent.
Permanent. Thank you. Okay. My ears do that sometimes. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. What was your next duty station?
So at that time, I went into educational delay. No, that's not true. I was selected for a reserve unit. I went into the reserves at that time because I was selected for residency at the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey, and in Newark. And so I went there, and then I went into the reserve system at that time, left active duty, and then I was immediately stationed in a reserve unit out of Omaha, Nebraska, where I coordinated my duties with my training.
Okay, so, your training, so you were getting this new training in Nebraska?
So I was part of the reserve unit, but they were allowing me to utilize my residency training as equivalent satisfactory training for their participation.
Okay. So how long were you in Nebraska?
I was there probably for the duration of my residency. So my internship residency, about 3 years in Newark, and then at that point in time, I then got selected as a fellow at St. Louis University School of Medicine.
Okay.
And I then switched over to a different unit at that time, closer to St. Louis.
Were you ever in Nebraska?
I did. I only went there once, I believe, for annual training. But the rest of the time was basically, I was able to submit my paperwork and satisfy their attendance requirement.
Okay. From, where were you, in Missouri or?
I was in New Jersey.
In New Jersey, okay. All right, gotcha. So when you were done with that segment, what rank were you by now?
I believe I was a major at that
Okay,
time.
all right, all right. How many years had you been in the service at this juncture?
So that would be 4, 5, 7, about 7 years.
Okay, all right, nice. Okay, so when you completed your training, did you stay in New Jersey or did you transfer out to another base?
So I was selected for a fellowship in craniofacial surgery, maxillofacial surgery, and facial pain at St. Louis University School of Medicine. So then I transferred to units in the Missouri area, St. Louis area.
Okay, and where'd you wind up?
I can't recall what units they were. There were 2 or 3 units that I belonged to there. One was a combat support hospital, and the other one was a dental support hospital. And then I think eventually, by the time I finished my fellowship, which was a year, I started my private practice in
what?
Maryland, Frederick, Maryland.
In Frederick, Maryland? So how long were you there?
Frederick, Maryland, I remained there for the next 30 years.
Okay.
And
all
then,
right.
but I had several different assignments during that time.
In the military?
Yes.
Yeah, and what were they? Can you remember them in chronological order?
I don't. There's so many. I wish I had my CV with me, but one of the big ones was I was part of the 2290th United States Army Hospital, which backfilled Walter Reed, and I was there as their assistant chief and eventually the OIC of their dental section, and then I also was part of various other units as well until I became an IMA soldier for the Army.
What is an IMA soldier?
So an IMA soldier is individual mobilization augmentee, where you're actually assigned to an active duty counterpart, and I was able to serve side by side by active duty personnel.
Okay, okay, and all right. So, what other places did you deploy to?
So, I was mobilized in 2003, and it was really for in preparation for Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom. Okay. And I was actually at Fort Lewis in Seattle, in Tacoma, Washington, pending movement to Turkey. And but Turkey never opened up their doors for medical personnel, or any personnel for that matter. So we pretty much stayed there in Fort Lewis for 4.5 months.
And okay, in Tacoma.
In Tacoma.
And what were you going to say?
And then we were released back to our home station, which was back to the 2290th at that time.
In New Jersey?
Walter Reed, D.C.
In D.C. Okay. All right. So you went back to Walter Reed, and how much longer were you there before you went on to your next duty base?
So after that, I basically, because of the impact on my practice, I actually resigned my commission at 16 years.
Oh, okay.
And spent 4 years trying to pretty much make the practice comfortable, since I had gone away and basically impacted 1/3 of the practice when I was gone.
Right.
I returned to the Army after about 4 years and then completed another 20.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so you have a total of 36 years in the military, is that it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so you returned after 4 years. Tell me about the next 20 years.
So I had a plethora of great assignments. I was the consultant for United States Army DENCOM at that time, and then I was also the reserve commander for the Pacific Regional Command out of Hawaii, and I was the commander for Hawaii, Korea, Japan, and the West Coast. Then I was also the IMA command, the reserve commander for Europe, based out of Heidelberg, Germany. And the next assignment, I was the Reserve Dental Corps, the IMA or Reserve Dental Corps Chief, which was the second in command to DENCOM, to the 2-star. So my position previously was a 1-star position, downgraded in the 1990s, but still had the same duties. And so I was positioned out of the Pentagon and the Office of the Surgeon General in Virginia for 3 years.
Okay.
And then after that, I left the Pentagon, and then I took a TPU, or a troop unit command in California. So I was the commander for the 396, or the 185th Dental Company, and which was basically under the 396 Combat Support Hospital. And then after that, I took command of the Medical Training Support Battalion out of Fort Dix.
Okay, tell me 2, 3, maybe 4 of your most memorable moments over that 20-year period. What stands out? Give me several things that stand out more than others.
First one, I guess, was being pinned Lieutenant Colonel by the Chief of the Corps, Major General Scully, who was the Chief of the Dental Corps.
Right.
The second one, probably to me, was I was awarded the Order of Medical Military Merit, O2M3, the Order of Military Medical Merit, and that is an award by senior leadership given to those that have exceeded standards, and I was awarded that by not only the commander of the Dental Corps, but also 2 Corps chiefs, Major General Scully and Major General Cerf. And so I was surrounded by pretty senior leadership in awarding that. The third one was being selected as the IMA, or Reserve Dental Corps Chief, where I was now assigned to the Office of the Surgeon General and the Pentagon, and I was able to work with the Deputy Surgeon General and the Assistant Surgeon General, working 3 working groups, and I was also assigned to the Executive Committee for the Dental Corps. So I was part of really 3 or 4 working groups at pretty senior levels in the Army. And I guess the fourth one is now really where I have now, after retirement, I've now been assigned as a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, which allows me to work with the Honorable Christine Wormuth, who's the Secretary of the Army now.
Okay. Do you feel as though any time in your military career you've ever been discriminated against?
Not really, no. I think that I think that, fortunately for me, I've had the ability to be at levels where I was respected, and I had the opportunities that were allowed me to advance to very, very high levels of leadership. So fortunately, I did not. I didn't have that experience.
Okay. Have you ever been in combat?
I have not.
Okay, fine, no problem. Were there ever any, over the years, any moments where that you can remember anybody got severely hurt? Do you have any disabilities yourself? Have you ever been hurt while on duty?
I mean, just the chronic injuries that you would get over the period of time from being in the Army, that may have been an aggravation. I have back injuries as well.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Awards, medals, citations.
Well, I received my retirement award was Legion of Merit. Mm-hmm. I received the Meritorious Service Medal, as well as Army Commendation Medals and Service Medals. I've also been awarded the Department of the Army Badge. I've been awarded United States Army North designators, the Order of Military Medical Merit, and the A Proficiency Designator by the Surgeon General, designating me as a top maxillofacial surgeon in medicine.
Congratulations. Okay. Have you ever had anything to do with battle planning?
I have. That was early in my mobilization years, where I had the discussions to be forward and having rear support and things like that. Yes, absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Throughout your military career, did you ever have any issue with staying in touch with your family?
I think that the distance, maybe, if you can describe that as not being in touch with your family, not being able to be a part of your children's lives during the time that you're away, that was difficult.
Right. Okay. Do you feel like you had all the supplies that you needed throughout your military career?
So when it comes to what I do and having the medical supplies that I needed, I've never really felt a shortage of that.
Okay.
And if they may not have had what I liked, but they certainly had alternatives that would satisfy what I needed.
Was there a lot of stress in your career field for you? You experienced a lot of stress? In
the military, or?
In the military, in that career field of that area of medicine.
So I think that the stress is being able to balance family, military, and civilian occupation. Okay. That's the stress.
All right.
Being able to juggle all that in an efficient way and still be able to perform well. That's the hard part.
Okay. All right. Oh, how was the food throughout your career?
I think it was fine. You know, you always got, if you were in a facility, you always had great meals. If you were in the field, you coped with having, MREs, but you'd always have hot meals as well. So I think that it wasn't like home cooking, but it was okay.
Okay. You got through it?
Yeah.
Okay. Besides the places that you've already mentioned, where else have you managed to travel throughout your military career?
So
vacation, whatever.
So I've been all over the world. I mean, it's a lot of it's been augmented by the military. We know when I was in Europe, I was able to see Germany, Italy, and various other parts of Europe, the Bavarian Alps and all that, and travel the Autobahn. When I was in Hawaii, you know, just being in Hawaii alone is travel enough, and you're able to enjoy, you know, the culture in Hawaii. But certainly on a personal note, I mean, I've been pretty much everywhere with my family.
Have you been to the Philippines?
I have.
Okay. You took your family?
I have. You know, it's being born here. It's you're not. It was always a struggle to go 21 hours away to travel there and be able to stay there long enough and not have to worry about getting back to work.
Right. Okay. All right. So, have you used your GI Bill for anything?
So the GI Bill, or the VEEP, is what I used.
Okay.
And I used that to augment my son's education and part of my second son's education.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So, where were you when you separated?
I was at Joint Base Dix when I retired, and my change of command and retirement was at Fort Gordon, Georgia. And then I received my retirement awards at the Office of the Surgeon General in Virginia.
Okay. And so from Virginia, where did you go? When you fully separated, did you stay in Virginia or?
So luckily I was still in private practice in Frederick, Maryland, and I retired from there. So I retired from the Army on June 14th, 2018 on the Army birthday.
Okay.
And then I retired from clinical practice in June of 2019.
Okay. And you reside where now?
Hernando, Florida.
Okay, so when did you come to Florida?
About 3 years ago.
I got it, okay. And you still in practice or you fully retired?
So I can't say I'm fully retired. I would say I'm robustly semi-retired.
Okay.
I'm on the board of trustees of an HCA hospital here in Central Florida.
Right.
And and I'm also the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. And I'm also president of MOAA Citrus County chapter, as well as vice president for AUSA out of Tampa.
Got it. Have you maintained any of your close relationships that you had in the military? You still have friends today from your military experience?
I do. I think that the biggest thing that is
Right. A couple more questions. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
No, it strengthened it actually. It strengthened my resolve and understanding duty, honor, country. And I think that the biggest thing is that I have sons now that are serving in uniform, and they did it without too much prodding from me. I mean, they made their own decisions as well.
Okay. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
I think that the Army and the military organizational skills that I developed allowed me to be more meticulous, more understanding and patient, and also able to navigate in alternative ways that was not initially planned. So it helped me understand to be a little bit more analytical, I believe.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share that you think you may have left out?
No, my Army career has not ended. I'm still serving as the CASA for Florida now for almost a year. And I think that I'm honored to be able to serve in that capacity with all our community partners that I'm able to connect with, and as well as serve, the nation as well.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your service, and I'd like to thank you for a wonderful interview.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. My pleasure.